There we go. Hello, sir.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Rebel Will. I am Rebel Will. Oh, thank you, Foundation, for the gorgeous scarf comment. Um, this is my opportunity to give voice to using my platform to help others give voice to their causes, and from what I can see, Rebel, my background check on you is
My background.
wow, that's amazing. You're one busy person. You're very creative, and you're obviously very photogenic, and
Thanks. Thank
and
you.
I've been really enjoying listening to your hot-blooded. That's great.
Thank
That
you.
that's a great tune. And maybe we could talk about that to start with, and then we'll just play around with some questions, and you can ask me questions if you want, and we'll take it from there.
Of course, sure. So yeah, Hot Blooded is actually the first, the first song of my new project coming out really soon called Rebel Futurism. And yeah, with this song and this project in general, I really wanted to finally show people authentically who I am Rebel is. I felt like a lot with everything that's been going on, there's been a lot of I just been kind of put into this box and like forced to do things that like not necessarily represent me. And I'm really out here being a proud queer man, and I want to represent that in all facets of what I do. So yeah, definitely, it was definitely an opportunity, and I was really happy for it. And the song
Wow,
just kind of came
that's
about.
a powerful
Yeah,
message. That's it. That you know what they always say. If you want to ground people, just put a little a little bit of responsibility on their shoulders. And and
absolutely.
and it's and that's a big responsibility. I'm not going to ask you your age, but I know I'm a lot older than you. So my question is, how is it that at age 65, I'm just coming to the same conclusions that you are at whatever much younger age that you are? No, really.
um,
What has led you to this point? Because this is a really this. I think Rebel, you've articulated in your own inimitable way. Wait, say that 5 times. Um, uh, how to navigate your soul, and that's how I would put it. How you navigated your soul.
I think
So,
for
so
for
what
me,
led you to that point of navigation?
yeah, like for me, honestly, what led me to this point was very much feeling incomplete. I felt like
I'm
I
sorry,
was
I
doing
didn't hear that last part. Feeling what?
incomplete, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
just in like I'm doing music entertainment is honestly something I love wholeheartedly, and at the end of the day, I didn't feel that like there was just something missing. And I'm like, I tried to understand like what it was, and I was being forced to do all these things and represent things that I don't necessarily believe in. So from I've been told everything from, okay, well, you know what, lighter skin sells, so would you mind bleaching? Or okay, well, we're gonna, LGBT like queer men don't really sell like that, so we're gonna make you, you know what I mean? Like we're gonna make you have a female love interest and stuff like that. And
You know
don't get me
what?
wrong.
No, listen, you're right. You're absolutely right. I love where this is going
Right.
because when you
And
get to be my age, you don't really give a shit. You really,
yeah.
that's the beauty of
Well,
if I had known this was going to happen at 65, I would have turned 65 a long before this,
Lago.
I would have. I would have come out of the womb at 65 because I'm telling you, this is the best time of my life only because of what you were saying now. And it's taken me this long. So God bless you that you're coming to
Right.
this
I just,
realization.
yeah, at the end of the day, I just want to live authentically. I want to be authentic to myself. I want to live happy. And whatever happy is at this moment, like, I feel like that's where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like, happy might look different in a couple years from now. But when I get to that point, I want to be in that truth,
Yes,
you
but
know?
Brett, that's why they call it living because it's a dynamic process. Of
Absolutely.
course, we're always, we're not always just going to be a butterfly. We're going to have to be in the cocoon a few times in our lives to reemerge. That's what reinvention is all about.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And, you know, and we'll get more to this later on when we talk about marginalized majority a little bit in the conversation, but this is about
Perfect.
you. So you steer the conversation any way you want, even though I'm the host. No, just, no, go ahead. I've got a wicked sense of humor, which you will find, but I'm a pretty deep thinker, so it's a nice combination.
We love
Um,
that. We love that.
so what? So now that we've gotten into the meat of everything, let's
Hmm.
lighten up a little bit, and then we'll go back to the meat again. What's something that might surprise people if they knew about you? What might be a surprise?
Hmm. Um, okay. I think the biggest surprise that people think is that because of how I look, I present very much innocent. But like, very much so, like, I'm a very sensual person. And like, I'm really, I love specifically, like, I've been doing a lot of research and um, following up on what love languages are, and I've become trying to be more and more well versed in it because I think it's so important for if you want to know how to be loved, you need to know what it is. Like, you know what I mean? How like for you to be able to explain how you want to be loved, you need to know for yourself what it is that you need. And I felt like a lot of my journey, especially like 2020, has been all that. Like, like really just sitting down and being like, how do I want to be loved? Is this a situation that, like, that's really getting me to where I'm gonna feel complete? And I've been more and more just taking that stance and really understanding, trying to be that full well-rounded person. For me, you know. You
So my
speak my
question
language.
is
Let's
no,
go.
no, because my way of putting it is using similar words is how do I want to love myself?
Right.
You know, and so that's what 2020 was for me. I mean, that's what these past few years have been for me
Right.
because of some mental challenges and some physical challenges that I've had to overcome. Um, and yeah, it's really, you know, I always say that, and again in the reinvention process, how you can sift through who can serve your reinvention and your process and who can't.
Hmm.
You just simply ask, you know, do I like myself when I am with this person in this situation, doing these things? And you were saying essentially the same thing at the beginning of not wanting to become something that you knew you weren't for
Right.
the benefit of a few dollars, you know,
Yeah.
because we all
But
have our prices. We all
and
have a
even
price.
and even with that, like, I spent the majority of my late teens to my 20s doing that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I got married at a super young age because I thought that's what you needed to do. Those are the steps. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, you need to have this by 30 and then blah blah blah. Like, I was in a long relationship for the longest time, and for a lot of it, I just wasn't happy at the end because it was just like, okay, well, that's what you do. And instead of, I wasn't living, I was just going through the motion. And so,
So
like,
may I ask you what does unhappiness, what does not being happy what did it look like for you? What did that
for
look like for you at the time?
um routine,
Sorry?
routine.
Routine.
Um, Unhappiness for me, it didn't look like growth. Unhappiness for me didn't feel like um didn't feel like there was a evolution. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I love I love to learn. I love to experience things. I love to experience new things. Like, you know what I mean? And that constant growth. And even if it's something small, like learning a new fact today, like, I'm happy with that. And I didn't feel like I was getting that. And well, that's just like a very like basic, you know what I mean? Obviously, there's other factors that go into all this, but
But
that's
isn't the conundrum as to how to serve yourself when you are involving other people so intimately in your life? Because that's a
right.
really because you don't want to hurt them, but you don't also want to hurt yourself.
Exactly.
Um, but you know something? When you are the center of your universe for yourself, and that makes you happy, happy people make people happy, and those very same people who you may didn't want to risk hurting will see how happy you are. That will make them so happy that they will want to be closer, and they're not out of your life, they're just in your life in a different way.
Right. Absolutely.
And so, and you so what was the catalyst that pushed you to make that change? That reinvention of self is everything, because we've had so much time to think about our navels and our all our imperfections and everything. We've had that's a gift to be able to dissect ourselves that way. I hope everybody did, because it was a gift. We're not going to get
like, honestly, I keep on telling everybody that, like, as much as 2020 was bad, like 2020 for me was really like my rebirth, was my genesis. You know what I mean? Like, in the sense that, like, I was about, well, first off, in 2020, the beginning, well, I officially got out of my contract where I didn't have to do all the stuff that I didn't want to do. But like in 2020, I was set to go on, do a tour, set to put out all this music that did not reflect me. Even the promo and stuff like that, like I had no control, had no say. I didn't even know who this person was being presented anymore. You know what I mean? And I just step back and I'm like, is this what it's about? Is this really, like, is this at the end of the day, like, what you want, like what you represent? And I'm like, no. And it was literally like my grandmother who, like, she's like, you don't look happy, and when my grandma speaks, you just gotta listen. I'm like, and that's what really got me started to question everything, like, next moving forward, like, okay, so why am I, if I'm not the only one that's seeing that, then it can't be only me. So what's happening? And I just got a chance to just sit down and just sit with my own thoughts. And
well, something about the rest of the world can see it, but until you see it for yourself, and that's what it is. That's the death to self. That's the swallowing the pride. And you know what? I said I'm not the same person in the second time lockdown, only because I was made a different person by the first lockdown, and that's that growth period. And yet, and I think my difficulty with the second go round is the fact that I didn't quite know myself as I thought I did going into the first go round. And what's happened is my smugness the first time around was knocked right off its feet, and now I don't have my smugness left anymore, because I know that that's gone out the window. So what do I have?
What do you have?
What do you have? And so you really have to, and if you want the answer to that question, you have to dig deep, because, and that's what this is all about, digging deep. What's kept you going? Like, who are the people in your life that have really been instrumental in bringing you here? Because it does take a village to create a masterpiece. So
absolutely. Even I think what really got me through it is, like, mending relationships that, okay, so when you're in a situation and you are acting so defensively because you're trying to keep up with the appearance. And unfortunately, like, my mom and I, we were really, really close before, and then after, with everything happening, like, throughout the years, we really broke apart. But 2020 brought us back together. And I really, oh guys, before I get, like, emotional or whatever, like,
go for it. This is your platform.
Yeah. Like, I really, really love the fact that we were able to actually just sit down and put our egos aside and really reflect and talk about that. And I think that was definitely a huge part of my growth, in the sense of, like, finally mending those wounds that I harbored so closely. And it was, I also found myself, like, a lot of time, like, I'm gonna prove that I'm worthy of this. I'm gonna prove to, like, all these people that said whatever. And I finally, once I had that message with my mom, it was kind of like, I have nothing else to prove to anybody but myself at this point. And so
go ahead. Yes.
Yeah.
And why did you feel the need to prove something? Like, why? I'm not just you. I mean, we all do.
Of course.
But
yeah.
What proof do we need other than what we are thinking? And what I say is, when the brain knows what the heart feels, and if your brain knows that you need to change and your heart's on board with it, that's all the information you need to act, because that gives you the confidence to know that both are check and balancing one another, and you're on board. Right. And it's fear. Why are we so afraid, do you think? What's the fear?
Well, my biggest fear is my biggest fear, not anymore, but was failure.
Uh,
It was. It was
hey,
not.
you're preaching to the choir.
It
I
was
know.
not being able to, you know what I mean? Like not being able to do what I said, and a lot of the things I used to speak so much about manifestation, and if you know what I mean, like speaking those goals, but like deep down, I'm talking about all this manifestation and I'm putting my goals out there, but at the same time, that duality is also being like, well, if you don't make that goal, like what's gonna happen? Like what, like you know what I mean? Whereas
Oh,
at
yeah,
this
yeah, it's called
point,
self-sabotage. Look
right,
at
definitely, like I definitely was a saboteur for like inner saboteur for the longest time. Like I felt that, and like now I'm at a point where it's just very much, you know what, it's gonna be whatever's gonna be, it's gonna be. Like, either way, you need to just put out the message that and you intended. And whoever gravitates towards that will gravitate towards that. Like even the beginning of this year, I started off with this one of the transitions for me was my I had an Instagram account. I had over 10,000 people on there, you know what I mean? And then soon as something dear, like I started really speaking. I started talking about Black Lives Matters. I started talking about LGBTQ rights, and the amount of comments and DMs and stuff like that that I got on that previous page was ridiculous, and not in a positive way, just like negative. This is not the platform for that. You should just shut up and sing and like stuff like that. And I'm just like, okay, that's not what I want to use my platform. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna move to somewhere, and if you guys follow me,
again,
make sure that you follow those
that's a
things.
real You talk about manifestation. That's a
Mhm.
real manifestation of your dying to self because you were willing to walk away from that. Well, you know what? That's a no-brainer. And the people that were critical of you, that's a
Sorry, hold
no-brainer.
on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Hello,
can
can you
hear.
hear me?
I can hear you.
I can't hear you.
Oh,
Okay.
how's that? I can't hear you now.
Now?
How's
Sorry.
that?
Sorry, 1 second.
No, I
I
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you now. Perfect.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
I can't hear you now. What did you just do?
Mom, I'm literally in the middle of doing an interview right now.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah,
It's cutting the signal.
I'll call you back in like
Say hi to
an
your
hour.
mom. Hi,
Hi.
Mom.
Sorry, that's so funny. That's so funny.
That's what it is. Sure, blame it on your mother. It's always the mother, isn't it?
It's always
Sure.
my mom. But yeah,
There you go.
sorry about that.
No, I changed to, I was using a Bluetooth. I don't normally use it. There's so much things that can go wrong in these live broadcasts. Mother's is
Absolutely.
never one of them, though. Your mother can never go wrong.
Never, never, never.
Never.
No, she's probably gonna come log in now because she knows what we're
Yes,
talking
why
about.
not? Why not?
But yeah,
Well,
what was the
yes.
question? I forgot where we were.
What what part or role of faith played in all of this? I'm leaving it wide open, how you ever want to interpret that.
Okay. I think in terms of my spiritually, I think I grew. I think I have more faith in letting things be whatever it needs to be. Um, in terms of like the actual church and stuff like that, I think that's a completely different topic, which I'm not sure if it's the right platform to talk
No,
about.
no, that's why I'm letting you interpret that. I'm
Hmm.
not directing it.
Right.
If you're satisfied with the answer you gave, that's the answer.
Yeah.
Um, I know that this time of self-discovery in the past, in the times of isolation, have been a real growth period of just being satisfied with, again, what what I feel is a true reflection of who I am, rather than simply parroting or mirroring something that others want me to say.
Right.
And again, I go back to that. If you're living your authentic self, that's going to make you the happiest you probably could ever possibly hope to be, because the selfish process of reinvention only allows us to be more selfless. And so, anyway, I'm going to ask you, what is your zodiac sign, sir?
Oh, I am. Okay, so see, people are gonna start hating because they always do when I say it, but I'm a Gemini.
Oh, Gemini. Okay, so
Yes, I
this
am.
is just, okay, I don't even know where Geminis come. Oh, there you are. So you might be interested in this. So
Okay.
first of all, this is called Gay Star Science, and it's quite an interesting book. So I want you to, it's a true or false in the description of Geminis as it applies to you.
Okay. Let's go.
Ooh, whoa. You're a games player. You're a games player. True or false?
Games like what? What kind of game?
No. You're too much in your head, kid. You're
Sorry.
out of your head. Just answer it.
Okay, I like games. Yes. Sure.
So that's true.
True.
Who will flirt with anyone who throws you a casual glance?
True.
Suck in those cheeks and pucker up those lips for another great performance in the art of seduction.
True.
True?
True.
So
embarrassing.
You're a master of smooth talk.
Oh,
You're a singer, you're a composer, you're a master. Trust me.
Don't answer for me in the comments. Yeah.
Okay. It was an observation. It was an observation, not a criticism. It was an observation. I didn't spend 25 years in the classroom for nothing.
Oh. Work. Yeah.
Okay, let's continue.
Okay, yeah.
And can be more slippery than an eel. Woo! You devil.
Slippery. I don't know. I'm gonna say false just because I want to.
Your playful, easygoing nature makes you a fun guy to be around.
True. Yeah,
if anyone can catch you.
That's definitely true. That's true.
So now we're going to go to. Now we're just going to go to true or false. So these are things. These are things that your zodiac sign likes.
Okay.
Films.
True.
Books, computer games, digital cameras, bright colors.
True.
Butterflies.
I love butterflies. Yeah, true.
You dislike or abhor hard labor. you lazy son of a gun.
That's untrue. I like to work hard.
Minimalism.
Something. True. Very true.
Dull, monotonous environments.
Definitely true.
Oh, now here we're getting to good stuff, guys.
Okay.
Oral stimulants. White wine.
True. Who doesn't?
Marjoram.
What's that? What's that mean?
No, well, if you don't know what it is, it's like a jam kind of thing. No. Pasta dishes. Pasta.
Oh, I love pasta. Yeah. True.
Nuts of all kinds.
Of course.
Chocolate liqueurs.
Oh, I love yes, definitely.
Anything chocolate for me.
Anything chocolate.
That's too much information, I'm sure. Light main dishes with snacks in between.
I do. I'm an eater. I know I give off really skinny vibes, but something about good food. I'm always eating. So yeah, definitely.
And finally, your turn-ons. Kissing.
Okay.
Kissing.
Yes, definitely.
Caressing of the hands and fingers.
Yeah, that's sensual, of course.
Videos.
No comment.
I didn't say making them. I said watch. I'm leaving it up to you how you're interpreting them. But I got the impression from that laugh, that wonderful laugh, that you were Your
Oh
mind
my
was going
God.
down a track that I was hoping it was going down, but hey. Um, okay, here's the next one that leads sort of, it's just a continuation of the videos. Role play games. Woo, daddy. Woo.
I, I can't.
There you
This is so
go.
funny to me. Oh my
You know
God.
what they say? An
I
ounce
have
of
to
jest, a pound of truth.
I have to just be careful because like I don't want my mom coming in. So that's why last time like I'm having a full
Listen, hello. You just got finished selling us what a great job you've done this past year in reinventing yourself into your own
absolutely.
person, and you're talking about your mother? Come on.
Exactly. Absolutely. But still, like I'm like, oh, that line. But yes,
Oh
sorry,
yeah,
continue.
like it's something she hasn't heard.
Absolutely.
We don't want to think about things like
We're
that. I
not
know.
thinking about that. No.
No, I know. You know, my mother is 94, and
Okay.
God bless her. She is demented, and she doesn't know who we are. But I'll tell you, you know, I don't even think in her demented state she would want to know things about me, and I don't want to know things about her. You know, I mean, I can only assume there's some of those things that are keeping her going in the past. You know, and
Absolutely.
stimulating her in some way. Anyway, what's the difference between what's different about the way you see the world now? Your world.
Um, Definitely not taken for granted. I think I definitely see I also see it as it's a place where I actually can grow and be myself. Whereas before I felt like I had to fit in, but now I feel like I don't have to. I can make my own I can stand on my 2 feet. I think that's the biggest difference.
How do you treat yourself? What's something you would treat yourself to in terms of food, for instance?
In terms of food. Hmm.
What's a treat for you?
Okay. I right now I'm on this like healthy diet. Trying to be as healthy as possible, trying to move into 2021. So right now anything chocolate would be a treat for me. Yeah.
I have. Oh, there we go. Help yourself. Um, you know, well, you know what I said. You know, at 65, you really don't give a shit.
Right.
That's where I'm coming from, buddy. If I could count up if I had $1 for every hour I spent in the gym, not that that's not disparaging gym. I mean, there's a reason I went to the gym when I was much younger, and you know, I'm not as active. Walking is my exercise. I love to walk now. That and you know that's what's get the old blood pumping. Um, is there any one person, you don't have to name them, aside from outside of your immediate family unit? Is there one person you feel beholding to for bringing you into this moment, or is it something that you sort of attribute that you just did by, you know, pulling on those old bootstraps and getting on with it?
Oh no, no, no. There's definitely I'm definitely not a one person type of thing. Like I'm definitely a community and it's been a whole bunch of conversations and just little nuggets of wisdom here and there. So I can't accumulate that to just one person. It's definitely the community behind me. Like even
So
from yeah,
what would
from
you like
even
them to know then? What would you like them to know about you now? Like if you could address them sort of simultaneously in one single address.
um thank you realistically, just thank you for putting up with every facet of me. And it's not an easy thing to do. And finally, too, it's just like I don't think that people just because I feel like a lot of the positions that I always end up being is like in a position of leadership in the sense like I'm moving forward. I'm always looking. People are always asking me for advice and asking me to help them through these different things. But I don't think that people actually understand how much that their their knowledge and their inspiration really affects me every single day. And so with that being said, like yeah, like all love and moving forward. And also for the people who are here for the moment, like I really got to understand the difference between people who are going to be here for the moment and people who are going to be here for the lifetime. And people who are here for the moment, I cherish them just as much as people who are going to be there for the lifetime because in that moment you taught me what needed to be, what the lesson that needs to be done. So
Yeah.
it's really understanding like there's no harsh feelings, there's no nothing moving forward. It's just like
Um,
it's understanding.
do you know what I think these
Thank
lessons
you.
sometimes are, Rebel? Are it's expediting. Every lesson you learn is expediting the process. You
Right.
know, it's bringing you, it's propelling you forward. Again, it's that if I don't like, you know, do I like myself when I am in the presence of this person? And I've said this many times, and they know who they are. I've had to walk away from people for one reason or another, simply because, and I say to them, I don't like myself when I'm with you. Now, that doesn't
Right.
necessarily mean I won't ever come back to them. It just means in this point in
Right.
time, I can't be with you because I don't like, you know,
Yeah.
and they'll say, well, they can't come back to you because you're not saying it's anything about them. It's just how you feel about yourself. And
Right.
that's the ownership that we take every time we say goodbye to somebody. Um, I had the good fortune this past week in an impromptu phone call from this person who I had to walk away from. And the thing is, my goal, my motto is, you know, leave them alone and they'll come home. And that is, if you walk away from people based on principle, they can't argue with it. They may not like it. And they'll
Right.
work through your principle. If they really want to be with you, they'll take the time to figure out what your principle was for walking away from them so they could address something in themselves to bring you closer. And those who just don't get it, you know, because egotistical, maniacal people get to run, you know, large countries from time to time, um, and set the world stage as a way of, you know, acceptable behavior when nothing could be
Right.
further from the truth. And
Absolutely.
we only have come to hate that behavior so much because we have been mourning for the loss of the behavior that edifies us and brings us closer. And this is what we just
Right.
suffered 4 years of global warming and warming. And you
Right.
know, it's, and I have still have hope, a lot of hope. But so what does your future look like? Speaking of hope, what does your future look like?
My future, hopefully, is being able to get my message out there and to be understood. Like that's, I think wholeheartedly, like I think that's what I definitely I strive for. Like a understanding and to find people who are just like-minded authentically around me. That's it. Like that's my biggest goal right now. Like if you talk about like more materialistic stuff, like like I'll feel like a billboard, like top 100, like
Yeah, yeah.
if we're going like
Hey,
that,
yeah. Well,
um, yeah, like for me, like it's not even about being rich. It's about being able to make sure that the next generation that comes up with like after me, like are not did not struggle. That's what I want. Like I want, and I also want to be able, like first and foremost, to make sure that like my parents are good and my grandparents are good because those are my hubs. But besides that, like them and my family, that they're good, I'm happy with that. And wholeheartedly, I just want to be, I want to feel free to do whatever I please in these moments. That's it. And also, just going back to what I want to kind of talk about, what you were talking about before earlier, I think a lot of times that people they don't understand it because like I've been called selfish over and over and over like this last last like I'll say 2 years in that sense, if you know what I mean, like really trying to discover where I wanted to go. And like I don't think it was necessarily selfish. I think it was very, very much the understanding of where I'm at and like what I need, and not and being selfish to put your needs in that sense first. I don't think it's actually selfish. I think it's selfless from the perspective of like I didn't want to drag anybody on that path with me. You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
to hurt them
Yes, I
along the
do.
line,
Yes, I
like
do.
it just wasn't. It didn't feel right to me anymore. So yeah, like a lot of changes were made this year, but we're moving forward.
I once wrote in the lowest point of my life that suicide was never an option because I was already dead. And so when I felt a total absence, I felt nothing, and I had vacant thoughts. So to think and to feel was just too painful and too much. And yeah, I slept for close to 18 hours a day for 12 months straight, and could do nothing. And it's that kind of when when you're so low that you have to reach up to touch bottom. People will say, well, I think I've hit rock bottom. I think I've hit rock bottom. I'll tell you, you'll know when you hit rock bottom because you will feel nothing and you will have no thoughts. You'll have vacant thoughts because the thought of having a thought to process is just too much. I wrote a piece about Nelson Mandela and how he had to reconstruct his notion of freedom. And so he did that through pure thought, because of all of his actions being monitored and curtailed for over 25 years of incarceration, he had to come up with a new definition that worked for him of freedom. And his freedom came from all the things that they were able to control. They couldn't control his thoughts. And so he had developed a sense of, this is my interpretation of it, what I call pure thought. And that is a thought that doesn't travel outside of the brain for any other reason than to have it with no expectation of taking action for it. And so that's how we are quiet within our brains, is just to have those pure thoughts. And if you can't even have a pure thought, then you know that you don't have to do it. There's no expectation, because we cannot believe that we can no longer rely on ourselves to sustain us. And that's the hard work. And there are a lot of people out there who are constantly, you've mentioned it to you, because when you sing about it, people naturally assume you're singing because you're happy and you've got all your shit together, and you're on a billboard and you look fantastic and you must feel great, because why wouldn't you? You'd have to be an idiot. I mean, right? And the truth of the matter is you don't feel any of that because you can't. You're asking your body to do something and your mind to do something it just is not capable of doing at this point. And so the reinvention is to reteach it. And
it just goes back to, like, even when I was saying, like, I just felt like it was automatic. I was just on, like, pilot mode, you know what I mean? Self-drive, where it was just going on, and I didn't even know what was actually happening. I was just doing it to do, And so, like, for me, like, this awakening has really taught me to, one, be in the moment, two, to recognize that, like, you don't have, like, one thing that one of my teachers said to me, like, before leaving and graduating, it was definitely, no is a full sentence. And I, like, you know what? I'm like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? But I'm a realist.
Whatever.
I'm like, okay, cool. Sure, thanks for that. Like, I don't care. Like, if I'm being honest, like, that's how I took it. I was like, thanks for that. Like, but I've really more and more applied that. You know what I mean? I'm like, no. Like, I don't, like, why? Like, no. Why? I'm like, no. That's not what I want to do right now. Like, and it's a full, complete sentence. Like, I don't have to explain why.
It's not even a want. I don't even think it's a want. I don't mean to contradict you, but no, it's a need. Survival is the father of reinvention. We do it. We reinvent ourselves. Whether it's, my years on the stage. I don't know if you know I'm a retired opera singer. And
I did know that.
Well, there you go.
I did. I saw the video. Anyway, I saw the video in the bathroom.
Yeah. I know. I figured if it was good enough for Josh Groban on national television, it's good enough for me. Why not? Now I know who Josh Groban is when he's home. He's singing in the shower. So there you go.
I can't.
You can't? Here, have a chocolate bar. Shut up. Anyway, what else do you want to talk about? Are you working on any other projects that are coming up?
Well, yeah.
Things
right
that you can share?
yeah, and like, well, right now the focus is really the well, musically the focus is the rebel futurism. With the whole EP is gonna be just about the journey of authenticity of myself, as well as just like putting Black queer like youth in the forefront. Like, you know what I mean? And like not coming from a place where, they're from a broken place, or they're like, you know what I mean? They're not DL, they're not this, but like it's just like how I felt being a, like just a person. Like, you know what I mean? Not a caricature. And so that's been really interesting, and I guess like almost like a journal experience moving forward. Um, I am the new person, the program director for the program conduit, sorry, for marginalized majority. So I'm
Oh,
very,
yes,
very,
let's talk about that.
yeah,
Tell me how that all came about. That's exciting.
it
Uh,
is.
oh,
It is so
congratulations.
exciting.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, maybe let's please explain to everyone what the marginalized majority is. It's
Yes,
certainly a group that I've become very, very attached to very quickly. So,
yes. So marginalized majority is pretty much a nonprofit organization which caters toward 2T BIPOC, LGBTQ. That's so long.
no, just
Plus
say queer. Just say queer.
queer,
Queer. You
queer.
know,
Uh,
we got to get over ourselves. Really, we really
right.
have to get over ourselves. Queer. Okay, queer.
Queer
You know, we're
youth.
not leaving anybody out because we don't want. We want to. It's
Right.
just I got
Well,
other things
but
to do.
to be honest though, like it is what's specific and what gravitated towards me is that their focus was telling stories that are not often told. Like, you know what I mean? And trying to give information and education that is not often shown from that perspective. And so that's what really drew me to the organization. Um, Chad being the CEO, and you know what I
Yes,
mean,
I've met Chad. Not
he
personally, just over.
like
Yeah.
yeah, like he's amazing, and the way that he speaks, and the way that he has such like love for for people, and for making people feel like included in all facets of life, is something that really gravitated me the most towards the project. And obviously, everybody who's a part of it is wonderful. And it was again really just ironic because we started having our own link, and then after marginalized majority came up, I'm like, oh, okay, that works too. So everything's kind of coming in.
Well, you know what I say?
What?
The gods might be crazy, but they are still listening. And they
Absolutely.
really are. Um, and I think those are the moments that we hear them when we don't have any sense of our doing anything other than just doing and being. And I know it sounds like, ooh, but it isn't. It's just a letting go of control to gain much more, to gain a perspective, to gain a gratitude for. Gratitude goes a long way. It really does.
Sorry, that's like my like yes, agree, yes. So it doesn't make like it doesn't clap and like distract you. It's just like yeah, like I'm clapping.
I
So
wasn't I wasn't sure what you were getting at, but okay.
no, no, not like
I wasn't sure that was a statement or a question.
no.
Hey, you got to get up pretty early to get past this one.
No, but yeah, like I've only been there for about 2, 3 weeks now, but I'm loving every
And so,
moment of
what
it.
is the yes? One of your colleagues, Jermaine, is he was interviewed on the show, or I shouldn't say interviewed. We had a discussion, and
Yes.
he did it naked from his bathtub.
Oh, ooh.
Just saying, just saying.
Like he's definitely a little bit more adventurous than I am at this point. But yeah, but
Well, he's
yeah.
going to know you said that one.
I'll know. I'll tell him. I'll tell him. But yes, no, it's definitely something I like. I have my educational background is in community building, and so as soon as I heard about the opening, I jumped for it, and I'm fortunate enough to be a part of it. And yeah, again, I really just want to every facet that I do, I want to make sure there's a message there, and the message that goes back and like fits my values. And marginalized majority was that. So I'm really happy
Well,
and
and I just
proud.
want to say I'm actually scheduled to give a workshop
Yes.
to marginalized majority on reinvention, much similar to what we're talking about, the whole concept of mapping out who we are. And it is
Absolutely.
a dissection, because when you stop feeling and you stop thinking and then you stop moving because you're in bed for so long, and or whatever, you stop eating, you stop working out, you stop writing music, everything just shuts down. And I call it my Humpty Dumpty moment. And yeah, and, and the truth of the matter is, nobody could put your Humpty Dumpty back together again but yourself.
Yourself. Yep.
And that's the hard work. And so I like to use that imagery, because not to make light of the situation, but to make sure I never lose my sense of humor either, because that's a very important tool to have in your arsenal of mental health and physical health. It's it is scientifically, empirically demonstrated how that, a positive attitude and a positive approach and a positive, if that's not a selling point, if happiness isn't a selling point for being positive, then you know what?
And what is?
Then what is? And what I really have discovered too in my styling career is just how color affects people as well, myself included. I always think back to Harry and Meghan's wedding, when I got up early in the morning and I dressed for it, and I had tea out of my mother's china cup that I inherited. And I did the whole 9 yards. And I wanted to feel regal, and I did, and anyone who's seen my boudoir would swear it was in the palace. So there you go.
Yes.
Those who have been fortunate enough. But anyway, I digress. But the point is that clothes do have a transformative healing process.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite article of clothing that you own?
I have so many, because as you said, like it depends on what I'm going for, what mood I'm in. You know what I mean? Like I have my favorite sweatpants when I just want to lounge. Like I have, like, this is one of my favorite pieces, because it was like a staple piece for me, because this jacket, I wore it at my graduation, so walking down the stage, I didn't think I was gonna end up doing. And then the next day, I wore it for an award show, like, that I wasn't even supposed to do, and I started meeting all these different people that opened doors for me. So it's like, this jacket is a lucky lucky jacket. So I wore it today because I was really nervous about what was going to be asked. But yeah, like,
I hope you're not nervous. You don't seem nervous.
No, I'm not nervous anymore. Definitely, you made me feel really.
Oh, good.
I appreciate that. Oh, but
good.
Yeah, but like, and then I have my harness when I'm like, my harnesses I like to wear and stuff like that. Like, it's every piece is for a different mood. So fashion for me is definitely something I take I take seriously.
If you were an article of clothing, shoes included, hats, accessories, what would you be, and why?
I would probably be a nipple piercing.
Oh, ooh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have to ask your wife for that.
No, it wasn't. You're gonna get me in trouble. No,
Hey,
but yeah, I think
trouble's never gotten me trouble's got me everywhere I am. So trust me, you're in good hands. Stick with me, kid. You're in good hands.
I feel like with the nipple piercing, the steel, it's like, it's a steel rod. It's close to the heart, so it's like, it's strong and sensual at the same time. That's it. That's me.
Okay. Good. I'll accept that. Go anywhere. Okay. So what your one last plug for and before we have to sign off, only because I want to save this. I have to. I don't like this time constriction.
Right.
But I would rather be more. Anyway, let's stop wasting time talking. So tell us about your what's the timeline for your new project that you spoke of earlier about futurism.
Right. So so the name of the project again is Rebel Futurism. Rebel Futurism. It's gonna be a blend of like pop, R&B, and Afro house. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah.
This time I actually get to show my other skills. So what a lot of people don't know about me is that I started off as a professional dancer. So when I was younger, I used to do a lot of stuff for like Disney and stuff like that.
Oh.
So yeah, so I this project I'm finally get to like move and I finally get to like dance and show the full entertainment part of me. So I'm excited about that. Yeah.
There's no taming you. There's no entertaining you, I'm telling you.
Entertaining.
I
So
know.
yeah.
I have the same problem. It's the rented lips. It gets me every time.
Right. So, but
um,
yeah, and so that's what like the single we're trying to get the lead. Okay, so the project will be dropping in the summer. So the second single is going to be out shortly. We're aiming for like April, May. So we're excited. We're if COVID decides to be a little darling and let up for a little bit, we could finally start like finish filming all the videos and stuff for it. So yeah,
and you know
besides
what I
that,
did? You know what I did last week for the
right.
first time? I did 2 stylings through video. I
Oh
did a
yeah.
video styling, and then I had all the clothes delivered
Oh wow. Okay.
beautifully.
I never heard that. Like well, if it works, it works.
So, hey, no, it worked. Well, it works. So, give me a heads up if you need a
I got
style.
I we're already talking. I got you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my pleasure here at the Academy of Enlightenment, where the faithfully fashionable come to learn that without faith in yourself, you don't have a chance to heaven. And we've learned tonight that without style, you don't have a chance in hell. You're an angel. Take care. Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Namaste.
Bonsoir.
Merci tout le monde.